The showdown over the Colorado River keeps ramping up. Years of talking, but no resolutions for the 7 basin states that share the water.
A woman raises her camera over the railing of the Zaragoza International Bridge. Tourists once leaned here to photograph water glinting in desert sun. Today, her lens finds something else: dust, cracked clay, steel columns driven into what used to be a channel. Below her should be the mighty Rio Grande, nearly 1,900 miles long, flowing from the snowfields of the Colorado Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico, a river that supplies water to about 15 million people in 2 nations. Instead, there is silence. This isn't a temporary dry spell. It isn't just another bad year. It's something deeper and far more dangerous. A river living on borrowed time. For decades, the Rio Grande Basin has been spending water it doesn't have. Research from Texas A&M University shows that less than half of the water currently used in the basin is naturally replenished by rain and snowmelt. The rest is extracted from aquifers and reservoirs faster than they refill. Imagine withdrawing money from a savings account that took 10,000 years to build, while making almost no deposits. That's the Rio Grande. The basin has been operating in deficit for years. Groundwater makes up the difference. Aquifers like the Hueco Bolson beneath El Paso have dropped dramatically since the mid-20th century. These are ancient reserves. Once they're gone, they don't simply come back next rainy season. This isn't drought management. This is structural overuse. The farmland that vanished between 2000 and 2019, massive stretches of farmland along tributaries like the Pecos River were permanently abandoned. Not rotated, not temporarily fallowed. Abandoned. Water allocations shrank. Wells ran dry. Farmers were forced to choose which fields lived and which died. In the Rio Grande Valley near Laredo, Texas, multi-generation farms have reduced acreage or shut down entirely. Cotton disappears first, then sorghum, then citrus groves begin to wither. Land once valued for irrigation is now sold to solar companies. Sunlight has become more reliable than water. Entire agricultural communities are shrinking quietly. No national headlines, no emergency declarations dominating cable news, just slow retreat. A treaty built on a different climate. The Rio Grande is not just a river. It is an international boundary, and it is governed by one of the most complex water-sharing agreements in the world. In 1944, the United States and Mexico signed a treaty allocating Rio Grande and Colorado River water between them. The agreement created oversight through the International Boundary and Water Commission. On paper, it was elegant. Mexico would deliver specific volumes from tributaries such as the Conchos and Salado. The United States would send Colorado River water south in return. For decades, the treaty held, but the treaty assumed something critical: that the river's historical average flows would continue. They have not. Rainfall across northern Mexico has declined. Snowpack in Colorado has become less reliable. Evaporation has intensified in rising temperatures. Reservoirs have been drawn down further and further each decade. In recent treaty cycles, Mexico has struggled to meet delivery targets, not because of refusal, but because the tributaries themselves are shrinking. You cannot send water downstream if it never arrives upstream. The river that doesn't reach the sea. Many people imagine the Rio Grande as one continuous ribbon of water. It isn't. Large sections between El Paso and Presidio frequently run dry. Some stretches show zero measurable flow for extended periods. Zero. That means what falls from the sky is captured, diverted, pumped, or evaporated before reaching the Gulf. The hydrological cycle has been engineered into submission. Dams store runoff. Irrigation canals divert flow. Groundwater pumping lowers water tables. Urban consumption increases demand. Meanwhile, invasive species like salt cedar draw moisture from already stressed ecosystems. Even if every salt cedar tree vanished tomorrow, the imbalance would remain, because the core problem is arithmetic. 15 million people, a river that produces far less than it once did, and a basin that has exceeded sustainable yield for decades. Hidden behind steel, between 2017 and 2021, hundreds of miles of border wall were constructed along the U.S.-Mexico boundary. In certain areas, steel bollards rise directly from the floodplain. The river that defines the border is often hidden from view, out of sight, out of national consciousness. Residents who once walked along the banks now see fencing, and patrol roads. The environmental implications are debated, litigated, and politicized, but the water shortage continues regardless of policy debates. The river is shrinking whether people are looking at it or not. Cities on the edge. In McAllen, Texas, water restrictions have become stricter and more routine. Outdoor watering is limited. Non-essential uses are curtailed. These measures were once temporary drought responses. They are becoming permanent. Across the border in Ciudad Juarez, over 1 million residents depend heavily on groundwater shared with El Paso. That aquifer is dropping each year. Engineers discuss desalination plants and emergency infrastructure, but such solutions are expensive and energy-intensive, and they cannot sustain large-scale agriculture. Surface water declines. Groundwater declines. Demand remains high. When both primary sources shrink simultaneously, resilience disappears. Water and diplomacy. Water scarcity is not just environmental, it's political. Texas lawmakers have called for stricter enforcement of treaty obligations. Mexican farmers have protested releases from reservoirs needed for their own survival. In 2020, tensions escalated near a dam in Chihuahua during disputes over water transfers. The United States cannot force deliveries without triggering diplomatic fallout. Mexico cannot deliver water that simply isn't there. The treaty assumed annual flows at the border far higher than current averages. Today's hydrological reality undercuts the foundation of that agreement. If renegotiation becomes necessary, it will be one of the most sensitive cross-border discussions in decades. Because water security is national security. Slow-motion abandonment. Demographers note that some counties in the basin show slower growth or population stagnation compared to state averages. Young residents leave for more stable economies. Agricultural employment declines. Tax bases shrink. This is not dramatic collapse. It is gradual contraction. Civilizations rarely vanish overnight. They recede, like rivers. The mathematics? No one can escape. Water managers may debate conservation strategies. Engineers may propose desalination. Lawmakers may call for infrastructure investments. But the central equation remains. You cannot sustainably withdraw more water than nature replaces. For decades, the Rio Grande Basin has done exactly that, and now the margin is gone. The river doesn't recognize political speeches or campaign promises. It responds only to precipitation, temperature, and extraction rates. Some rivers were never designed to support modern population densities. Some treaties were written for climates that no longer exist. The Rio Grande's decline is not theatrical, it is mathematical. The quiet crisis. Most Americans are far more familiar with the Colorado River crisis than with what's happening along the Rio Grande. Yet the impacts here are deeply personal, felt by farmers, city planners, families, and diplomats on both sides of the border. A river that once shaped settlement patterns, trade routes, and international boundaries is thinning into intermittent channels. It does not announce its retreat. It leaves dust in place of reflection, silence instead of current. And when people finally look down from bridges expecting to see water, they may find nothing at all. If you found this breakdown informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive stories on environmental change, geopolitics, and the hidden forces reshaping our world.